There are growing concerns over efforts by Nigerians to adopt alternative automotive fuel, as the current conversion statistics for various categories of vehicles from petrol to compressed natural gas (CNG). While it is a welcome development to some people, others describe it as outrageous and likely to complicate government efforts in addressing the rising cost of pump price of premium motor spirit (PMS), also called petrol. Compressed natural gas has been proposed as a promising alternative in Nigeria due to the country's significant natural gas reserves. Joining us now on the show is Bambo Ademoloye, Chairman, Autogas Committee of Nigeria LPG Association. Good morning, sir, and welcome to the morning show.
Good morning.
Yes, thank you for joining us, Mr. Ademoluyi. Yes, the Tinubu government talked about what they call the Presidential Compressed Gas Initiative. The objective of which was to reduce petrol imports by about 5.5 million liters and reduce money spent on fuel importation by about 4.4 million liters. And the objective was that by 1 year, they will have converted up to about 1 million vehicles using compressed natural gas. Now, as somebody who is in that space, that LPG space, what's your observation? What's your assessment of what has been done so far since President Tinubu announced that Presidential Compressed Natural Gas Initiative?
Well, the initiative, in my opinion, is a very good one because we need to have alternative fuels because petrol has proven to be very expensive for us in Nigeria. The initiative is good. CNG is much cheaper than petrol, much cheaper. And so if we can achieve 1 million vehicles, for instance, converted to CNG, definitely that objective will be achieved. However, obstacles always come with these initiatives. CNG, for instance, is not easy to deploy. It's called compressed natural gas. Compressed in the sense that it's stored at very high temperature. And because of that, the storage vessels that you use to keep them, to keep CNG, are very thick, expensive, and not too easy to produce. So that problem actually was, I think, the main problem, because to deploy those stations all over easily won't be easy at all. So that, I believe, is one of the major problems. To convert the vehicles, yes, you can achieve that because you train people, they can do the conversion kits. A good conversion engineer can do at least 2-3 vehicles in a day, in a standard workshop. So that shouldn't have been a problem. But where do they buy the fuel from? That is the main problem. And that's what the government should be looking at. Other fuels that are easily accessible and also cheap.
Yes, I think we don't have problems with the objectives.
Yeah.
If you ask any dumb sophomore student, they will tell you, oh, if you have alternative sources of energy, it's eco-friendly, it's good for the environment. Everybody knows that. What I was asking you to address is to assess how the Tinubu administration has kept its promise. Have they kept the promise, or are they just deceiving us? Or what they are still dealing with is a draft plan?
Well, they have not kept the promise, but I would not say that they are deceiving us. They probably made that promise, and they found out that the obstacles that would stand between them and the promise were not what they expected.
Okay.
That's in my own opinion. Because when they made that announcement, we knew that it would be difficult. Because CNG is not available all over. You cannot make it available all over. If it was available all over, like LPG, you can achieve that. Unfortunately, LPG is more expensive than CNG, although it is more available.
Yeah.
Because there's no local government in this country you go to, you will not find LPG. So the problem was availability all over. You find the states that are talking about CNG are states that have the access to pipelines and all that. You won't find a Zamfara or Gombe or talking about CNG, because to get CNG there for them to use will be far, far more difficult than doing other fuels, even petrol.
All right, sir. So you've identified the challenges, and from what you've said, it means that they didn't think about it properly in terms of even when they announced the date for providing of CNG buses, the stations to refuel are not available. I'd like you to share with us in terms of numbers. What's the current situation of things? You've been able to say that at least in almost all local government areas you would find an LPG station. Do you have the numbers in terms of what we have? And number one, how much it would cost to meet, to be able to put these CNG stations in place? Cost to the government, and then of course in terms of cost of converting your vehicle to a CNG vehicle, I'd like you to share with us. So how much would it cost? Number one, do you have numbers in terms of how many we have currently, what numbers we need to build to fill that gap, and then the cost?
I don't have the number of stations that are on now. I don't. It's not been published. Maybe DPR will know. And we don't know in the industry. But I know that obviously they're not adequate. And a lot more needs to be done. However, to deploy a CNG station, you need about $150,000 to $200,000. That for most marketers is not viable. So if I'm going to spend $150,000, I have to be able to make the money back in 2-3 years. If you deploy an LPG station that is going to do the same thing, you can make your money back in 2 years, 3 years. And you are not spending $150,000. You are spending maybe a mini station, 30 million naira, 40 million max. You have a standard mini station according to specs. And you can make your money back. So that actually is the main problem. Cost of deployment is a major problem for CNG. And it's going to really be something that government has to have a look at. And that's why we are saying, look at other sources of fuels. Even for Autogas, in other climes, propane is what is used. We have propane here in Nigeria. We can introduce more propane and propane is like LPG. It's an LPG. In fact, it is an LPG. It's a liquefied petroleum gas. Can be stored like any liquid. Can be made available everywhere in a short while.
I said 4 years ago.
That's right.
I want to read something to you. 250 billion to be spent to fund compressed natural gas infrastructure. 4 years ago. Have you seen any of those money? In fact, as I died, they said it's expected that by 2021, 1 million cars will be converted from PMS to Autogas for free. CNG. That was under Buhari's time till now. Because I see they've also muted that idea. What is happening? Secondly, I have a CNG car. But like you said rightly, to get the gas is a Kulian. Maybe anybody watching can tell me, I've not seen any station in VI, this island area, where the only one I know of is outskirts of town, in Nipco.
That's right.
How much will government have to put in to ensure that we get more of this station? Is it the 150,000 or the pilot stations? Because I also want to, put something forward by saying some of your arguments are right, but in Edo State, there are lots of CNG gas users. It's more acceptable. So if it can happen in Edo, what can we learn from Edo as a model? Those are the questions I want to ask you this morning.
I'm happy you mentioned Edo State.
Yes, sir.
That was actually the first state in Nigeria where CNG was used, even for taxis. Yeah. Because it's available. There's a pipeline. So you could tee off the pipeline and spend much less than $150,000.
Okay, so if you tee off the pipeline, you can
spend much less. And you can spend less. and have your station, you have your
But there's pipeline in Lagos. We're in pipeline bus every day. But why are we not?
The pipelines you are in busting are petrol pipelines.
What about gas pipeline?
You bust gas pipeline, you are dead.
I know, but gas pipeline is in Lagos. So why don't we have permissive?
We have gas pipeline in Lagos, yes. Yeah. That's what GasLink did.
Yeah.
And they brought it from Agidingbi right up to Antony, to Tinkan, to Western Avenue.
Why don't we have CNG plant in Lagos?
That's what I'm saying. You still need quite some money to deploy the stations. It's not easy. Have you seen any
part of this 250 billion government say, I mean, it's just audio money?
I don't know. I've not seen money. I've not seen, but I've seen some stations, actually, CNG stations, traveling from Ibadan. There's one at the Mobile in Ibadan, at the toll gate. I've seen one there. I think I saw another one. So in another Mobile. But these are all outskirts of town, like you said.
I think
So NIPCO, yes. They are deploying, actually, but it's not as fast as it would be. And that's the reason, that's the main reason. Because one, even if they have the money, you don't do it like that. For an LPG station, I can order a tank. In fact, there are people building the tanks in Nigeria presently.
Can't you use tank to carry CNG?
The tanks, you can use it, but they are specialized. They are not tankers that you build and put down. If you need one, they will tell you, okay, come back in 6 months' time.
Okay,
they are specialized.
Mr. Ademiluyi.
So the government can achieve it, but they need far more time than, and they need far more money than what is being.
Beyond time and money. There are many Nigerians who have also said that although they say Nigeria is the 6th largest producer of gas in the world, although we're still doing gas flaring after a decade of this, decade of that. Now, are you saying that the same government that has introduced a presidential compressed gas initiative does not have a plan, a clue in terms of what is available or in terms of infrastructure? Because that's what I seem to be hearing, that we don't have the infrastructure. In fact, some people go further and say, even the gas is not available.
The gas is very much available.
Well, but maybe it's the infrastructure we don't have. And then you are saying there's a difference between LPG and compressed natural gas. Plenty. And LPG is better. LPG, is that not the cooking gas we use at home?
That's right.
Okay, so can that also fuel vehicles? Seriously? We need that clarification.
Of course. That's what I'm saying to you. What CNG can do, LPG can do.
Is it safe?
Absolutely.
Just like CNG?
They are all safe.
The same LPG that we are importing.
We import LPG and we also produce a large quantity of LPG in Nigeria.
But we import?
We still import, yes, because our local production is not enough. Government should be encouraging, I said it at the last time I was here, government should encourage more production of LPG through the marginal oil fields. The marginal oil fields are there. A lot of them, like you said, they are flaring.
Yeah.
Make sure that every marginal oil field captures all its gas and is able to produce. Part of that fund that they have for gas development, decade of gas, should be given to these marginal oil fields to get their gas out and send to, because that's local. It's a tanker that is just going to go there. It's happening in Kwale. The tanker just goes there, loads and come out and is selling to people next village. That is what we need. What is available that we can touch. CNG is more volatile, it's more expensive to deploy, and it's available, yes, but to get it to use is more difficult. LPG you can get, propane can be used, even the blend of LPG can be used to fire everything that CNG can use. The only difference, like I said, CNG is cheaper than LPG. But LPG is cheaper than diesel, cheaper than kerosene, which are the main products. I mean, for so many uses, even in agric, I'm doing more of agric these days, for cassava production, starch, the flash machines that the big farmers are using, they are burning diesel, some kero. You can use LPG. Tractors can drive on LPG because they drive on diesel.
All right.
Generators generally can drive on propane. It's cheaper. So many people are converting their generators now to propane, and some are buying propane fire generators. I know a company that has all their locations, about 12 nationwide. They've bought propane generators, and they are smiling to the bank because they are spending about half of what they are spending on diesel, on propane.
All right.
So these are products that are available. Gas that is available is there. You can use it, and to deploy the infrastructure is not as difficult as to deploy for CNG. So the problem government has is that deployment, which is very expensive and it will take time.
All right. Okay, so very expensive will take time. Let me bring in another alternative source of energy powering our vehicles, because we've had a guest as well like yourself who's come to make a case for EVs. I know it might be like that electric vehicles, that Nigeria is far away from that, but the truth is that if we're going to make investments in CNG, LPG as you're advocating, we might as well begin to look at the future, because as it's said in other parts of the world, people have moved away from CNG, LPG, PMS, and looking towards electricity.
Of course.
Do you think we are ready for that? Do you think that, because that's also, cheaper, we have the sources, if we would invest in that, what's your take on that?
It's a very, very good initiative, electric vehicles, and the government did something which I really commend, allowing captive power. In actual fact, this CNG that we are talking about, in my own opinion, as a practitioner, should be diverted to power generation and industrialization, industries. If we have captive power all over, everybody can generate. Lekki can generate their own, Surulere generate and sell, and get a license to sell and sell. If we have all those captive power, fired by CNG, fired by propane and all, we can use electric vehicles, because electric vehicles need regular power and they need to go everywhere they go. They can plug and then recharge their this thing. So if there is power, electric vehicles are very good. So following up on gas use, CNG, in my own opinion, should be more used for power generation.
But sir, we're still going back to what the point Dr. Abati was raising. The gas is not still available. See, in this country as we speak.
Have you looked for gas and not found?
I'll give you the facts. I'll give you empirical facts.
Okay, go on.
In this country as we speak, most of our power generation is from gas. Only about a little over 1,000 megawatts or thereabout, that is hydro. But the availability of gas cuts and shortages are rampant. I'll also give you another instance. The government recently set up a scheme, I think it was the time of Buhari, where they were saying, okay, you'll be able to trap gas flare and be able to use it. We don't know what has gone as regards that scheme. Let me even make your point better for you. Do you know that there are companies that they have marginal fields that once they are spudding for oil, they first see gas and they shut the field and they move on? Yes, there are companies that is happening. I've heard in the oil sector that they just shut those fields. So because there's no investment in the gas, there's no ecosystem for it locally. We are still talking about AKK pipeline. We're still talking about BD2 pipeline. We have the gas potentially, but you see, I get that before no be property. We have not been able to bring the gas out to use. Hence the point Dr. Abati was making, that where we have gas, why are we still importing gas? We have one of the largest gas reserves in the world, and we are still importing gas. So all of this go back to the fact that gas is not available. And sir, it takes a lot of investment to bring the gas out of the ground.
Of course it does.
Let's call a spade.
All over the world,
yes,
it takes a
so
lot
we are
of
not
investment.
missing potential.
But what you are saying is that, what you are saying is not true. That it is not available. It is available. Sometimes
why are we not beating local quota?
Technologies,
production.
Technology affects things. Breakdowns, you talked about breaks.
It's still the same thing.
Those happens. But that the gas is not available. No.
Okay, where is
the gas available?
Where is it available to limit local? When you say availability must be able to meet local demand, isn't it? So where is it available to meet our local demand? Where in this country?
Well, in my opinion, if we get our technology right, we have enough
That means
gas
it's not
to
still
use.
available.
If we get our technology right, we have enough gas to
That
use.
potential gas.
We have potential gas, but we don't have it.
Marginal fields I talked about is very expensive. I've been involved with two. It's very expensive to convert the gas flare to, the gas that is being flared to use. Very expensive.
So that's still the problem. We don't have it.
We need to do a lot more with the marginal fields, because for me, that's where the secret is for local consumption of,
Mr.
gas.
Ademiluyi, I take it that the decade of gas that the Nigerian government talks about is an illusion.
Yeah.
They don't
You
even
call it an illusion. It's work in progress, in my opinion.
They told us where subsidy removal is work in progress.
They said
now we have been told
it's work in
we are
progress.
going to spend
In the sense that
5.4 trillion.
one year ago it was launched, and they say a decade, 10 years. So you cannot judge that process in 1 year. It is not fair.
Okay.
It's not fair. If they listen to all these things we are saying, we can still achieve a decade of gas.
Okay.
If they listen to the professionals.
I get your point.
Yeah.
Mr. Wale Edun, the Minister of Finance,
That's right.
has announced what they call ASAP, Accelerated Stabilization and Advancement Plan, to look at challenges within the economy, to jumpstart economic growth. In fact, oil and gas, the 8 priority sectors that President Tinubu identified in his manifesto ahead of the 2023 elections. This same document that we discussed earlier this morning has all those 8 sectors there.
That's right.
And then there's gas. And one of the things Mr. Wale Edun is proposing is what he calls the media plans. So what are those remedial plans that you think, just to articulate them concretely, we need to adopt with relation to gas? Now that we're told that the ASAP document is to be fine-tuned before the president comes up with an executive order, if you can speak to the gas component of it.
What I would say is that the gas component of it should not focus on CNG alone. It should be expanded to include all other gases. They should be given in as the equal prominence with CNG, because where CNG cannot reach, the other gases can reach.
And we're talking about case for your own LNG association.
LPG association, of course.
Is this a personal interest?
It is not a personal. It is the fact of the matter.
Because
of course, because I've told you, I told you at the beginning of this that there are places that CNG will never get to. It will never get. It will not come to Ife, my hometown. I'm in Ife.
But what if they pipe a pipeline there and they carry it in the truck?
At what cost?
And they carry it in the truck.
Oh, come on.
So how does Nipco get his own CNG gas?
They use their trucks.
So what if they use the same truck to bring it to Ife?
Okay, tell me the economic viability. You bring that truck and dump it there, start selling $200,000.
If you have
how much fuel are we buying in Ife, for God's sake?
That will justify using that. That's how they will carry on the cost.
No, how much are you going to sell to make your money back? That's what I'm saying. There are places that CNG will never get to, because it's not going to be economically viable to get there. So they should de-emphasize CNG alone and pay more attention to other fuels, other gas fuels. That's my own suggestion as a remedy.
All right. So, like has been said, you're here to support your association, LPG association.
Of course,
and make a case.
I think it's LPG.
Of course,
but you know that the LNG train is stalled though.
Yeah, because there's no gas.
We have not been able to move beyond train
because there's no gas.
There is gas. The technology is what's the problem.
But there's no.
See, this LNG project, Nigeria LNG.
See, can I ask you a question, sir? Can I ask you a question? Let me just do this illustration. See.
Are you saying that there's no gas underground?
See, wait. There's gas underground.
Potential.
There's potential, but you don't have it. I get that before, don't be property. I keep saying that word because you can have something underground, except you bring it and put it in your pocket.
Right, and you get it.
But it's going to cost money. So as long as you don't have it, you don't have it.
That's what I'm saying. Look, that's why
you don't have gas.
That's why I've been talking about marginal oil fields. All these big projects, they cost a lot of money.
But you know how much it will cost to make marginal oil fields? How many people are bringing the money into the economy?
Very quickly, sir, Mr. Ademiluyi.
Yes.
From potential to real, because I hear you talk about more, and I love the enthusiasm and the optimism you have about there being an availability of gas, even though, like Dr. Bati mentioned, an $8 billion US dollar project has been stalled as a result of a non-availability of gas. So how do we move from potential...
I don't like the way this your no availability.
I don't like it. The gas is dead. So let me ask you, sir.
Look, do you think they go and position that project in a place where there's no gas?
Okay, sir. So let me ask you.
The people who designed it are not fools.
So let me ask you, since you're very adamant that we have gas, how do we move from potential to real? And what's the length of time that
get the technology right?
Yes, you talk about how much would it cost?
I don't know how much.
I don't know how much.
You don't
an estimate?
I can't. I don't know how much it costs to get gas into an LNG train. What I'm saying is, get the technology right, and you can get gas.
Look, I think the question higher is where were we going to get the money from?
Yes. So
where is the money?
Yes, because in terms of funding, and then how
because it's available. Where is the money?
That's a question I cannot answer.
Because there's no money.
There's nothing now. There's no show.
Look, if a company decides to set up an LNG train, they would have funding somewhere. Before they start, there will be funding from sources. They will have people that have said, this project, I'll put in so much, that project, companies and institutions and all that would have committed money to it. So the question of not having money, I don't think is the issue.
So
okay, all of this is within the context of the gas transition.
That's right.
And, international debate, COP26, COP27, about fossil fuels and all of that. Now, if the Nigerian government cannot get it right with this transition to gas, to an eco-friendly system, there are some Nigerians who have been saying, look, within the international system now, most people are adopting a hybrid system. They do electric vehicles, they do fossil fuels, they put everything together. And organized labor is saying, can we fix our refineries so that at least in the short term, let Nigerian people breathe? Only yesterday or the other day, Aliko Dangote of Dangote refineries was saying, look, we can't even get the crude oil. We have a facility of 650,000 barrels per day here. So what will you be saying to government? Since it's a transition, it's not as if we expect a miracle by next year. What will you say to them? Can we have a hybrid approach to this matter?
Hybrid, very, very possible, very, very acceptable and desirable. And in fact, for refineries, for me, my own has always been small, like I support marginal oil fields.
Modular refineries, yeah.
I've been talking modular oil fields modular refineries for 25 years, maybe. Yeah. Modular refineries. Look, all those guys that are producing crude, producing diesel, they call it moonlighting, rice and beans, in the creeks. If they are producing with using bamboo and using drums, for God's sake, they've got something up here. But we'll go and start shooting them and killing them. Yeah. We should empower them to produce properly.
The artisanal miners, you
That's mentioned. Right. The artisanal producers that the Navy is chasing all over the place all the time. Yes, they are busting pipelines, which is not good.
Yeah.
But give them crude officially, legally, and give them the modular refineries. The size of this room, you will produce.
Yeah.
And we have them scattered all over. But we like grandiose, big projects in Nigeria. Yeah. That is what is killing us.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you so much,
Thank you so much, sir.
That's really apt.
Really great way to land today's conversation. Mr. Bambo Ademoloye, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much.